Thanks to EA for sponsoring this video. If you have been starving for fairies the same way that Tinkerbell starves for Pan's attention, then look no further because fairies have arrived in The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature expansion pack. Let's go get mystical, magical, and disruptive. Hey besties, it's Alex here, WoohooTattoo. I'm an Australian content creator for The Sims. I've been doing this for a really long time, and yes, I have a woohoo tattoo. Today we're going to be looking at a short, non-spoiler overview about The Sims 4 Enchanted by Nature. Yes, The Sims did give me a code for this game. Yes, I've played the absolute bugger out of it. And I'm going to tell you as quick as possible, as much as I can without ruining it for you, because I feel like a lot of people have gone too much into this pack. I don't want to spoil it because I still want you to play this game. You wanted fairies, so let's talk about it. First things first, let's have a look at Inniscreen. So Inniscreen is obviously based on Ireland. In fact, the name is actually originates from Innis, which is Gaelic Irish for island or island river, and Ireland is actually known as the Green Island, which Inniscreen literally refers to. So we are talking Celtic, we are talking old school folklore fairy tales here, babies. And we have got all 4 seasons in Inniscreen. And in Inniscreen, we've got 3 areas to talk about. And I just want to mention as well that these builds are actually done by some simmers. We've got Cracked Kyber, Nina Schmidt, Sandra Picker, and the Sim Scrolls have done an amazing job on building these beautiful venues for us. Thank you so much. I love it when the Sims are using content creators to make their stuff. Oh my God. So first of all, we're going to have a look at the coast of Ardmore. Ardmore actually means good luck in Irish. So that's very fitting. Ardmore is this seaside village, and it is basically a tourist trap. Like, it reminds me of when you go on a holiday on a tour and then they put you in this area just to buy the souvenirs, you know, like buy the food here and it's like $40 for one thing. There's a giant gnome in the middle. We also have a gnome exhibit. We have Num Num's market stall, which I was a little bit sad about because, yeah, I can get gnomes. Literally, they will appear in my garden every Harvest Fest. But also he sells some food, and I thought that was very, very quaint. The food that he sells, I kind of enjoy that. You'll find an NPC in there, which we'll touch on the NPCs very shortly. The Captain's Fishing Quarters Fishing Hut, which is right near the wreck of the Calliope. We've got John and Gio's grocery store, which of course is a rabbit hole. Now, this is a very pretty area. It's very colourful. It's very gorgeous. We've got some iconic landmarks in here, and every area has this little fable board, which we'll go into fables later. Of course, it's all coming. It's all coming. Stay tuned, guys. Hit subscribe. Now, you can't use fairy magic in the coast of Ardmore, and I'm not going to tell you why, because it's all in the law. And if you get caught, you will get caught by the Fairy Council, and they will give you the problem fairy trait. Whoopsies. We've got 5 lots in the coast of Ardmore, and it is just beautiful. It's so pretty. Spruce Derry Grove. So Spruce Derry Grove is the haven for the bohemian and nature lover. So if you love gardening and living off the land, this is going to be the place for your Sims. Rags to riches, anybody? This is where you want to master those skills, apothecary and natural living. You can bathe in the tranquil stream. There's area for fishing. The neighborhood actually takes its name from the local legend, Spruce Almighty, the community-loving garden pal. So I think this looks like Lord of the Rings. Like, I can just imagine Gandalf coming across here. And Derry is actually a kind of a version of the Irish word dare or dor, which means oak grove, which is very fitting for this area, I think. In Spruce Derry Grove, you'll find Gringle's Bar, the Whistling Thistle Gardens, the Glasswood Tree, which is obviously Spruce Almighty's house, lots of little mushrooms, little mushroom rings, fairy rings, Todd's Apothecary, Devlin's Books, where you can actually sell used books and buy new books, but for no discount, and Clover's Seeds and Supplies, which is your local gardening shop. We've got 4 lots here in Spruce Derry Grove, including one that you can actually just move into, and it hasn't really got much except for a big pond in the middle. But I think it's beautiful. I really like this area. It's stunning, and I really enjoy that you can sort of move around without having to enter any lots. So that's really a bonus, I think. And of course, Everdew. Everdew is the home of fairies. This is where fairies can just let it all hang out. It's the most enchanted neighborhood in all of Innisgreen. You can definitely tell because there's a lot of magic happening here. We've got Moondrop Springs. It is just stunning. Mossvale Fairy Hub, which is home to the Fairy Council. And then, of course, we've got enchanted plants all around the place. The Starseed Teleporter. And this guy is awesome. You use a little bit of fairy dust and you can teleport to any hidden lot, including things like 6am, Magic Realm, the Hermit's House in Granite Falls, all around the place, which I really like that because you can't access these from the World's Chooser. The beautiful Starsong Lounge, which I spend most of my time because I just love the bar. It's gorgeous. We have 5 lots, including a beautiful lot that's sitting in a tree. Another natural living area where you can just hang it out by the pond. It's gorgeous. I've already been through the build mode and buy mode stuff, so just a quick touch on this. Obviously, we've got 2 styles. We've got the Sylvan and the Fairy Tale. Very woodslandy, fairy, mossy, grassy, fairy tale storybook-esque. Gnomes, mushrooms, vines, raw wood. So it's all about like living outdoors, indoors kind of vibe. So if you're a modern sort of beige living kind of person, this is not going to be for you. But if you're a high fantasy queen or king, this pack is going to be right up your alley. I was trying to make a fairy pun there, but I had nothing. We have a new lot trait as well, and I don't know why I couldn't find this before, probably because I was blinded by magic. This is the Fairy Passage lot trait, and it just means that fairy sims are going to visit your lot more, which means you're going to get more chaos. What's up? So you can buy these pots. Apparently you can make them on the pottery bench. And then the plants are actually separate. And you can also buy little seed packets that will specifically go into these, but not all seeds will go into the live plant pots. You can keep them inside and tend them. And yeah, they're just a really cute little thing. It's kind of like having a pet, but it's a plant and they do die. So watch out for that. So when it comes to the build mode and buy mode and the world, I love that we can explore around this whole area without having to travel too much. It just sort of takes the loading screens out of everything, and there's lots of different harvestables around, and I thought that was really cool. I felt like there was a bit of that lacking in last packs. The apothecary table doubles as storage, as does the little bench that comes with it as well, and there's heaps of unlockables. So obviously as you're unlocking through the careers and skills, you will be able to unlock more thingies. However, we don't have any tall doors. I believe this is because fairies are little and we don't need anything tall. And for some reason, the plants were in the roof decorations. Like, I know plants can go on roofs now, but put them in plants, guys. That brings me to Create a Sim. There are lots and lots and lots of ways you can dress your fairy, including glowing tattoos and new skin tones and new eyes and new ears and new teeth. We can make pretty fairies, we can color in their wings, and there are so many different wings to choose from. It's beautiful. You can even have a fairy without wings, which I thought was very, very humble. But honestly, I will just make a note. Please dress your fairy in swimwear, or your swimwear, make them look like a fairy, because your guys will be constantly walking around in their bathers. Now, the things I didn't really like is that the boots are ugly. Like, some of them are just hideous. In fact, I thought they were Crocs. There's a lot of repetition across the different life stages, even though there is something for everyone. Also, the filters are a bit buggy at the moment, so I don't know why, but we don't have any swimwear, we don't have any athletic, and we don't have any sleepwear, which is kind of annoying. If you're trying to keep on trend, you have to cancel out of the swimwear in order to dress your fairies. I feel like it just lacked in that derelict bohemian wear. Like, I kind of felt like the natural living guys sort of missed out a little bit. We got dirty feet, but I felt like I needed a little bit more dirty clothes because we're sleeping on the floor after all. We've got leaves in our hair. Where's the swatch without the leaves? Don't want to always have leaves in my hair. When you're creating your sim, you can choose these new traits. We've got disruptive. So this is all about interacting with your world and messing things up. You can throw off people's balance. You can just be a menace, really. However, I felt like you weren't menacing enough. I would really like to try this trait with some of the other traits. I'll report back on that. Mystical, these guys just want to be fairies so bad, like just so bad. They can read auras, they can give sacred blessings, and they can increase balance. And these guys, they're really good at learning the natural living and apothecary skill. Then we have Plant Lover, which personally drives me a bit insane. They just constantly hug these imaginary plants that they pull out of their butt. They also have specific little social interactions with plants, and if they don't socialize with plants for a long time, they get very sad. But you can compliment plants on like photosynthesis, and give unsolicited plant advice. Hooray! I hope your plant mothers are happy. There are also some in-game traits that you can unlock once you've completed some fables and some of the traits, aspirations and things, such as like Harmonious and Discordant Fairy, Now You Gnome, Into the Everdew. The High Fae lineage is if you have a baby with 2 fairies, and also Problem Fairy, which I mentioned earlier. And I'm sure there's heaps of unlock. The aspirations, and I've been over this really quickly in my Creator Sim video, but we've got Nature Nomad, which really embraces the natural living skill, the Elixir Enthusiast, and obviously this is just the apothecary skill, crafting elixirs and cures out of plant-based things, and Fairy Stories. So this is the new trait, Fairy. Show the world the kind of fairy that they can be, and this is where I'm going to talk about fairies. So fairies are here. We have some wobbly flyers, and the coolest thing is that you can fly instantly here, which is my favorite part. They can also conceal their fairy form, and they don't have their small sprite form, which I think they had in Sims 3, but they can go smaller to interact with other objects, such as use fairy houses. They can sleep on pianos and in doll houses, and they can shrink down into the sink and play in the water to recover their hygiene. Fairies can also convert other Sims into fairies. Hydrate mermaids and plant Sims, they can take vampires' powers away. They can actually cure them of the vampirism and stuff like that. One of the most important things fairies are going to do is fairy dust. So every time you do something, you're going to generate fairy dust. You can also dust this off of yourself. You can collect it from the Mossvale Fairy Hub, the Fairy Council in Everdew. But you're going to need this a lot because you're going to be enchanting objects with the fairy dust. You're going to be needing it to regenerate your emotional force, all sorts of things. You can even find it when you're foraging in Everdew sometimes, and usually at the bar. The fairies leave it at the bar all the time. So that leads into the fact that fairies don't have hunger or bladder, but instead they have emotional force. They're very emotional beings, okay? The fairies are empaths. So you are going to need to absorb emotions from other Sims, other fairies, from Moondrop Springs. You can drink bottled emotions. You can also regenerate in fairy houses, and you'll find other ways to regenerate these emotions. However, if you don't regenerate your emotions, you will die. And if you overcharge your emotions, you will die. 2 new deaths in this pack. So I had a little bit of fun playing with this. We've got overcharge. So if you absorb too much Sims emotion, you know how sometimes you get like the very tense or the, very inspired or whatever, you get a little warning sign. You can actually detect the Sims emotion, and then you can absorb the emotions. If you keep absorbing the same emotion over and over again, you're going to get a warning. You're going to get the minor overload, the major overload, and the critical overload. And if you just keep doing it, you're going to die. So this is going to be like an emotional death, like you would if you were to have a laughing, hysterical death, and then you'll be a ghost fairy. And then, of course, we also have starvation. So if your fairy doesn't absorb any emotions, it's going to go into starvation, failure. Again, you're going to get some warnings, and I found this one to be quite tricky because they can regenerate using fairy dust. However, you can get those 3 warnings, and then they're going to starve, and that is the starving one. But when they die, they get really pretty urns and really pretty tombstones, and I thought that was kind of cute. Fairies also do have this fairy skill tree. Every time you use your fairy abilities, you will get levels, and then you will be able to level up to the ultimate fairy. The fairy abilities, they have different categories. We've got the main 3, manipulation, emotion, and nature. So these are going to be things like, sensing people's emotion and bottling people's emotion and enchanting plants, manipulating objects, aging Sims up, and that kind of thing. Then we also have customization, and this is where you can either choose one or the other, depending on what kind of fairy you want. How do you want to feel when you absorb that emotion? Or do you want to influence that sim once you've absorbed their emotion? These kind of things. And then once you level up, you get more and more of these ability points. And eventually you'll be able to unlock all the fairy abilities. And I've been having a lot of fun with the fairy abilities. That's probably a big bonus that I can pull from that. You can choose either the harmonious or discordant fairy path, and then when you complete that, you will get a different trait once you complete that aspiration. So let's have a quick chat about luck and balance, because that's kind of a big part of this, and you can turn this off in gameplay as well, but it is such a big part. Every day at 2 a.m. your luck is going to change. It's either going to be good luck, ordinary luck, or bad luck. Depending on what kind of luck you have, depends on the day that your sim's going to have. Now, luck impacts everything, like career, social, things happening, even the lottery if you've got seasons. This also can affect their moods. So with the balanced sim, this is meant to be like the normal sim. Most sims are supposed to be balanced. But if something bad happens, like a loss of a sim close to them, or, you know, career failure or something like that, then they will become unbalanced. And then the more unbalanced a sim is, then they're going to be more susceptible to ailments, which is going to cause chaos. We'll talk about ailments in just a second. But also things like their needs are going to deplete faster. They're not going to have as high skill gain. So it's really imperative to keep your balance and luck at that high sort of level. And you can obviously change all of this with the apothecary and fairy mastery skills. Ailments of the new COVID. There are sims walking around covered in splotches and blotches and sneezing and vomiting everywhere. And they are contagious. Don't hug them, because your sim will start to feel quite sick. Depending on how balanced they are, they may catch them randomly. Fairies can also give these to you, but they can also cure you. There's a lot of different fun ailments. In fact, there's 8 different ailments. It's been a real fun time playing with ailments. And this kind of leads into the naturopath career, because if you decide to take the career path of naturopath, this is what you're going to be doing every day. So level 1, you're just going to go to work. But level 2, you can actually start to see people come to your house. And these people are going to rock up, and they're going to have ailments, and they're going to cause drama, especially if they have that gnome one, because gnomes are just going to come and destroy your house. This works very similar to like the vets, or where you have to sort of like ask questions and find out, and then, you know, do the right thing and fill the bar and complete the day. It doesn't give you as much information as you want. It can be a little bit of pain to complete. And I would suggest putting a toilet very close to where you want to be tending to your clients, and they won't come inside either. I struggle to see them in my main living room. Eventually you do learn the ailments and the symptoms, and then once you have found the root cause of their ailment, then you will need to craft the apothecary elixir in order to heal them, or if you're a fairy, you can cure them with fairy as well. There's 2 branches. We've got the apothecarist, which is basically curing with elixirs, or you can go into lifestyle coaching, which is all about fitness and wellness. I chose apothecarist because I thought that was cute. Speaking of apothecary, we've got 2 new skills to work with. Apothecary. So as I mentioned, we've got 8 ailments, but we've got 14 recipes. You can buy the ingredients from the table, or you can actually start foraging these at level 2 with the natural living skill as well. Obviously, you can gift and sell these elixirs. You can give them straight to people and they will drink them, which is hilarious. And there's an interesting collection of things that you can create at the apothecary table. And this has probably been one of the most fun parts of this pack so far. Little luck talismans. You can make emotions so you can affect people that way, but we also have things that, you know, enhance the gameplay and improve the way that the game works. So it's a lot of fun. You can be mischievous, or you can also be harmonious. I really like it. The natural living skill, obviously this is like turning you into an animal. You are literally just living off that land. I would love to see a rags to riches caveman edition now, golem edition maybe. Foraging for food, plants and collectibles. You can get apothecary ingredients at level 2 apothecary, as I already mentioned, but this is all about sleeping on the ground, bathing in bodies of water, not where it's too shallow and not where it's too deep, but just where it's just right. Goldilocks syndrome. You can eat fish and frogs, but they hate it. But of course, this gets better as you level up on the skill. They do things like talk to nature and meditate in nature, which I really like because they get better at it as they level up. So that's been a real fun one too. I do enjoy that. And of course, I wouldn't be WoohooTattoo without talking about the new fairy Woohoo. We have Try for Baby and Woohoo in Sky. And obviously this can be initiated by a fairy. They just go up and do a little dance in the sky. It's very, very sweet, very cute. And sometimes they drop fairy dust, which is a bonus. However, I kind of wish that fairies could do more. Like, why can't we manipulate items like in Life and Death? Like, I know people would probably complain that, you know, we're reusing animations or whatever. But why didn't we have a fairy house, Woohoo? Think about it. Am I asking too much? The bad side of the gameplay is that there were no new like additions to the original harvestables. Like, there's no fish, no rocks, crystals, frogs. Like, come on. We could have had a fairy frog. Like, there's a tattoo of a fairy frog. Why couldn't we have a fairy frog? And also, fairies are not immortal. They're gonna die. They're gonna die. I also want to talk about the nature press really quickly as well, because I was very excited for this. I was very let down by the nature press. It is very meh. It's very pretty, but it's very meh. I just wish it could do more, you know? Like, I've seen so much more in other items like knitting and cross stitch. Why is it so basic? It takes like 1 second to make a pressed item. Not. It takes like a week to do that in real life. Like, what? I guess you can like sell them on Plopsy if you are that way inclined, but I was really less than thrilled. You can also create enchanted items, hooray! But this is literally just creating an emotional aura, which I guess kind of fits in with the whole fairies being an emotionally driven force. But did we not forget about the emotional auras from base game? I didn't. I use it all the time. But couldn't they at least sparkle? Moving on, we have a new collection as well, which is called the Inner Screen Ingredients Collection. These are just things that you pick up on the ground. Also, we do have the cross pack. Fairies and vampires don't get along, but apparently fairies and werewolves do get along. Something about the moon. Fairies have abilities to moisturize the mermaids and plant sims. Fairies also have this option to nurture nature. If they have cats and dogs, cottage living animals, or horse ranch animals, they can make sure that they're not sick. And apparently it also cures the illnesses from the cats and dogs too. Teased it, but let's have a real quick talk about the fables and the new NPCs that we have in the game. The one and only, we have the beautiful deity, the goddess, Mother Nature. She appears when you have a fairy seedling. Don't ask me about fairy seedlings, go and ask a fairy. And she'll pop up, but I don't know, I couldn't really get her to do anything more than just be a boring old NPC, except she asked to move in and then I bugged the game. So don't let her move in. I have Spruce Almighty, and as we know, Spruce Almighty is Mother Nature's little nature toy boy or toy person, because they go by they pronouns. Unfortunately, Spruce Almighty does not have any romantic ideas with anybody else, so you cannot romance them. But, you know, a little bit of a tweak in Cass won't hurt, right, Sprucey? Spruce Almighty will actually appear when you go and summon them from the glasswood tree in Spruceberry Grove, and they'll help you with some luck and some gardening as well. We've got Todd Attenbury, who's also in Spruceberry Grove. Todd is actually from Making Magic, and he's an old man in Making Magic, but this is his earlier version. And Todd is living with his boyfriend Elric, and I'm not talking about Elric because I'm angry at Elric. Elric pisses me off. Joe Trader, who also lives in Spruceberry Grove, he'll be hanging out by one of the Fable boards over there. And I believe that Joe Trader may be a little hint to the Trader Joe's chain from the US. Nadia from the trailer, this is her ex-boyfriend. And I can see why, because he's evil. He's full of red flags, but he's cute though. Oh my gosh. Glen Gnome. He lives in the best house. He is the gnome enthusiast. I love the description. The very own wacky waving, non-inflatable arm flailing gnome man. And he's a goofball. He's an author, probably writing some gnome fan fiction. Absolutely love him. Can't be romanceable either, but damn, I want to play him. He's just the cutest. We have two fairies in Everdew as well. Zali Amani, and this is a wise elder fairy who almost always has an ailment. She's always sneezing, that girl. And of course we have Karen. Now Karen is actually a play on Karen, because she actually makes a comment saying you don't want to get on like the bad side of her or something like that. But really, she's just going to give you a slap on the wrist for using magic in the Coast of Admore. Do better. All of these NPCs can be found around Innisgreen, and you can actually get these little fables from them, which is basically like a little challenge that you can sort of do. You'll have to complete something and deliver this and take this there, and you will unlock some lore. There is a lot of lore in this pack as well, which is really fun, and it'll actually add to the notebook, which is a new addition to The Sims 4, and then you can actually read what you've unlocked. And I needed that. This ADHD brain girl needed that, so I might have to go back and play some other packs to do that. If you have trouble finding the fables, it is in Friendly, More Options, Stories, and you'll find it in there. But I've actually been using the TwistedMexi Smarter Pie menu where you can type. And I tell you what, game changer. Honorable mention as well, we've had an update to Plant Sims, so Plant Sims can do heaps more. And the Summer Dream family also appears in this pack. They are living in Everdew, of course, and instead of having their 2 kids, they have Mara, which is a hint to the fairy queen Mara from Sims 1 Making Magic. We love that. I'll mention as well, we also have some new music in alternative electronica and pop, but my bar is always playing Latin, so I haven't heard that one yet. I really liked playing the fairies. I really enjoyed the fairy abilities. The fables were fun. However, I felt like I was kind of like dragging myself to get this finished. I kind of wanted to explore it at a slower pace, to be honest. I think I would have enjoyed it more if I could have just played it at my own pace instead of having to create content. I'm feeling a little bit of fairy burnout right now, which is why I wanted to do this review a little bit different. I feel like a lot of people have just gone completely ham, put out like 2-hour videos on the whole playthrough. And I really wanted to make this as short and quick and punchy as possible in order for you to actually get the game and play it, because at the end of the day, we all wanted fairies apparently. So go and get some fairies. The new skills are really fun. The traits I'm not really sold on. The aspirations are very hand-holdy. Is it value for money? Did it sort of fulfill me? Yes and no. It kept me interested a little bit, but again, I was sort of pulling hairs to complete this one. Does it have replay value? Yeah, I guess it kind of does. I would definitely be playing fairies again. Like I already have plans on, making a fairy and making them a baker, and a fairy that I'm going to base on one of my Sims and making her yellow and having sunflowers in her garden. And, I've got a lot of ideas that I really want to do. So yes, I believe that there is going to be a lot of replayability in this pack. The whole world is stunning, and the work that the creators, especially for the lots, that is probably just second to none. Like the passion that went into this, I think is probably bar none. Like beautiful, absolutely stunning. Does it need to be amplified? Yes. We needed more collectibles. We needed fun things in there to find. I love the lore. I love the storytelling. I love the little bit of that, but it needed a bit more of an RPG element. How fun would this be if we kind of played on the idea of maybe this could be Skyrim, maybe this could be Zelda. World Adventures had that RPG element. Like I really wanted more. And while we do have the fables, they are limited and short. And buggy, honestly. I felt I had a lot of issues, and finding some of the naturopath things, it just drove me insane by the end of it. This is not going to be the pack for you if you don't care about fairies. I just want to make that clear. My thoughts are that the community wanted this so bad that EA was like, we're going to make it an expansion pack. Yep. If you are okay with not having fairies in your game, maybe give this one a miss. But if you are a little bit into fantasy and a little bit like, I'd play fairies, maybe you want fairies but you don't want to pay for this, then that's cool, because there's a really good mod out there that I can recommend as a while you're waiting. It is the SpinningPlumbob's Fairies vs. Witches mod. I'll link that one below as well. And you know what? The Sims always has sales on, so perhaps pick it up in a sale at the end of the year. And you can also use my code WoohooTattoo at checkout, because that helps me as well, because the Sims actually give me a little bit of commission. It's like 5%. And it also, it's nice for me to know that, you thought about me when you purchased the pack. Overall, I wanted to give this a rating out of 10, because I used to do that when I did my reviews back in the Resident Entertainment days. So I'm going to give this a 6 out of 10. The reason I gave it a 6 out of 10 is because I feel like there could have just been so much more. While I enjoyed it, it just needed to be tweaked. There's some things in there that are just a little bit buggy. It's beautiful, it's pretty, but is that enough to push it over the line to be qualified as a expansion pack? Let me know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this new type of review that I'm doing here? I would really love to know. I've got my podcast, which will be coming out, which will be going into more depth. I might even share some of the lore. So if you want to know more, let me know what you want to know and I will put it in my podcast video. Have a wonderful day. Be nice to yourself. Be nice to people if they deserve it. Stay magical.